Have you heard that Nancy Pelosi was recently exposed for stock corruption? Given her current position in the U.S. government, this became a very contentious issue. Remember that huge names almost typically lead to major problems, so keep an eye out and remain tuned. That can be the cost they incur from being a well-known person. Particularly those in positions of authority within the government face criticism for everything they say, choose to do, and say. You may watch how Nancy Pelosi's stock manipulation was revealed in today's video. American politician Nancy Patricia Pelosi, also known as Nancy Pelosi, has been Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives since 2019 after holding the position from 2011 until the present. Since 1987, she has represented California as a U.S. representative. Paul Francis Pelosi Sr., her spouse, is an American businessman who founded and manages Financial Leasing Services Incorporated, a real estate and venture capitalist investment and consultancy company with headquarters in San Francisco. He was the United Football League's Sacramento Mountain Lions owner. The husband and wife team of Nancy and Paul Pelosi are crushing it on the Hill, according to The Drill Down, a weekly roundtable podcast that examines some of the most significant problems of the week in tech and on the web and how they influence everyone. Nancy and her husband Paul are believed to be there if there is a dime to be made on an inside trade. At least 10 IPOs were involved with the Pelosi's. The fact that a politician's family is permitted to participate in an investment that, when it goes public, typically doubles in value is a real indicator that there is a problem, GAA President Peter Schweizer said to Jesse Waters on Fox News. He went on, lawmakers are required to report stock transactions made within 45 days, either personally or by their spouses or dependent children under the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband bought 2,500 shares of Tesla stock, according to a congressional filing, as Democrats want more funding for renewable energy projects. According to the aforementioned document, Paul Pelosi, the spouse of the Democratic House leader, bought Tesla stock on March 17th, when the company's share price had reached around $1 per share. Pelosi purchased the shares at a strike price of $500 per share at the end of the day, and their purchase price was around $2.18 million. According to a periodic transaction report, Pelosi purchased 25 call options, or 2,500 shares. Just before the Giga Berlin ceremony on March 21, 2022, Pelosi digitally signed the deal. Forbes reports that Pelosi's largest equity investment of the year is the Tesla share buy. Paul Pelosi has previously invested money in Tesla shares. Tesla's share prices have risen by almost 19% to over $10.36 a share after Pelosi's acquisition, making his shares valued at approximately $2.6 million. This has led some to question if Pelosi is indeed that good or if there are other factors at work. It should be mentioned that President Joe Biden has been under pressure to move quickly on pending legislation due to the Democrats' vigorous campaigning for more expenditure on green energy. Recently, 89 House Democrats wrote to Biden requesting that he take up the stalled Build Back Better Act discussions, utilizing the bill's $555 billion in climate investments as the foundation for future progress. A group of 97 Democratic congressmen, known as the Congressional Progressive Caucus, unveiled a comprehensive agenda for the president that included climate-related measures that its members wanted to see carried out through executive action. Biden has backed several green technology subsidies since taking office, including as a $1,500 credit for the purchase of a new electric car. Upon learning of this, everyone exhaled deeply and remarked, "That makes sense, the Pelosi's are cheating." People believed that Paul was removing the impacted stocks while Nancy was manipulating the market. This isn't even the first time. Nancy Pelosi increased Paul Pelosi's Tesla options just a year ago. Democrats at the time suggested allocating $120 billion to sustainable energy initiatives and an additional $34.5 billion to purchase emission-free automobiles. Democrats hope that by include tax credits worth $42 billion in the reconciliation measure, consumers of new cars will be encouraged to choose electric vehicles over gas-powered ones. However, this is not the first expensive option bet Pelosi has made on large tech firms, according to Washington Free Beacon. Paul Pelosi apparently made over $5 million via option contracts linked to Alphabet stock since last year. The attention around the personal investments of lawmakers has intensified since high-profile resignations in recent months were caused by a series of trades made by Federal Reserve officials. Congress is still debating what action to take, even though the Federal Reserve, whose monetary policy initiatives assisted the stock market in recovering during the pandemic, has subsequently released regulations prohibiting authorities from making specific stock trades. Nancy Pelosi, however, asserted in December 2021 that lawmakers ought to be permitted to trade stocks in spite of any possible ethical issues. "We have a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that," she said to reporters during the news briefing. But months later, the Democratic leader changed her mind after facing criticism, declaring that she would endorse a ban if appropriate legislation were put up. However, the New York Post claims that her remarks at the time were a little ambiguous. Says she, "I do always lean towards believing in our members. If there is any indication from some that someone is engaging in insider trading, that is a matter for the Justice Department and is unrelated to any of this. I simply don't get into the generalized notion that we can't do this because we can't be trusted. However, I'm fine with members doing that if they so choose." Regrettably, Pelosi is hardly the only lawmaker engaging in such transactions. The financial data platform Quiver Quantitative reports that Representatives John Gothenheimer and John Rutherford disclosed over 22 stock trades totaling less than $500,000. These trades involve the purchase of brands such as Tesla, Verizon, and UPS, as well as the sale of shares of Etsy, Snap, and Facebook. Strangely, the Congress voted to prohibit members from trading equities just 1 month prior to Pelosi's frenzy for Tesla stock purchases. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has approved a bill to prohibit congressmen from trading stocks, despite months of opposition. The Senate is now debating multiple iterations of a stock trading prohibition, one of which was co-authored by radical Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Republican Senator Steve Daines of Montana. However, there are still a lot of unanswered concerns regarding what kinds of investments would be barred, what new members would need to do to comply with the new regulation, and whether or not politicians' families would also be prohibited from trading stocks. According to a recent survey conducted on behalf of a conservative advocacy group, 76% of voters thought that legislators and their spouses had an unfair financial advantage. The impact of recent disclosures regarding the extent of violations of the 2022 Stock Act, a statute intended to combat insider trading and conflicts of interest in Congress, is also reflected in the same survey carried out by the Convention of States Action. 54 members have reportedly broken the Stock Act restrictions in the last year alone, according to a Business Insider investigation that was released earlier this year. Whether or not members of Congress have an unfair advantage in the stock market because they have daily access to information that the general public does not is the central question in the stock trading debate. This is precisely how the public felt when the price of Tesla shares surged shortly after Pelosi purchased them. It's important to note how affluent Nancy Pelosi became while working as a government bureaucracy, according to Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo. Lou Basnese, the creator of disruptive tech research, stated that there are even more red flags in the Congress, that is, among legislators and congresswomen, than there are communist parades with fundamentalists. They should not be permitted to trade stocks in any manner. "I believe you accomplish two things with this," says Lou. "First, you flatly forbid it, and then you observe how quickly individuals only hold office for a few terms due to their reluctance to give up the riches and powerful position that comes with it." If you enjoyed this video, make sure to visit our channel and watch our other videos.